John started out as a very remarkable young fellow. I think when he was something like 7 or 8 years old, he started doing electronics, at a very early age anyway. And he got interested in making transistors and things like that when all of that transistors were the real rage and everything. And so John would go around Silmar there and round up on the mountain peaks and all and pick up ore samples of real interesting, all kinds of ore, different kinds of rocks, they would say, nice rocks. And he would take them back and he would grind these things up and he'd make transistors out of them and measure all of their characteristics. He's the only person I ever knew that spent something like 10, 11 years as a young fellow grinding up rocks and making solid state transistors and diodes and things like that. So he picked up a body of phenomenology that's if you go to regular school and you just get the stuff, you're never going to have the phenomenology he ran into. So all in there is this background of absolute phenomenology. I'm not even sure there's a name for it. There's certainly no textbooks for a lot of it and everything. But he's got it in his fingertips, all that stuff he did as a kid. And they used to laugh and say, for a Christmas present, you don't give John a nice shirt or something. You give him a very interesting rock, ore samples. And he'll grind it up and play with it electronically. So he started off something else again. And when he got into making his amplifiers and all like that, by his own design, he made his own transistors. And the interesting thing with one of these Bedini amps is you could open up this amplifier and transistors were glowing in the dark. And parts of the circuit, the current ran backwards, didn't run the way that circuit theory says it's supposed to run. An electrical engineer or an amplifier engineer would open one of his amps and just go berserk and say, this can't be, you got this wired up wrong. And John would turn it on and say, well, you hear it playing, right? But anyway, his amps were good enough and so good. By the way, I should say that he had an interesting background before that. He had some assignments with the Army signal people that were, special assignments where you're concerned with high security matters and all kinds of intercept communications and all. So John has quite an educational background in all of that whole field. Countermeasures, radio, intercepts, all kinds of things. Communications and communications intelligence. Encryption and decryption, the whole works. So he has quite an electronics background from the various trainings, and he then